Hi guys, Brittany here, and in today's tutorial I would like to show you how to work the stitch pattern for our Spring Victorian Lace Pullover. In the pattern, or for the design, I used Pallete from WeCrochet, and just for the sole purpose of this tutorial I decided to use Wool of the Andes worsted weight. It's a bit of a thicker yarn, and I think that you'll be able to see this yarn a little bit better. In this video, I do not intend on working through each steps of the pattern. However, I do intend on just teaching you the stitch pattern that I use throughout this design. So in the pattern, you will need a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook for the body of the piece, and you will need a 4 millimeter crochet hook for the piece. So if you would like, you can use this tutorial to do a gauge swatch so that you can be prepared for whenever you start to make our pullover. So this is just a regular worsted weight, and I chose the color Ford Heather. Now again, I did use fingering weight yarn, but I love how it came out. They had amazing colors, and now that I'm looking at the Wool of the Andes, I think I might want to make a thicker version of this design using the Wool of the Andes. But we will get to that when we reach that. So to start off, you want to put a slip knot on your hook. We all have our own ways of doing it, and that seems to be the way that I do it. Looks a little bit awkward, but it works. One thing I also forgot to mention is that this pattern uses a multiple of 9 plus 5. So if you decide that you want to change the size, or you want to make it smaller, or if you want to make it bigger, just keep in mind, in order for your just make sure your change still fits in the requirements for the pattern. So again, if you're going to change the size, or if you need to alter anything, just remember that the multiple of for this pullover is 9 plus 5. So grab your yarn. If you're using the Pallete, grab that. Or if you're just trying to work up a gauge swatch, or if you just simply simply watching this video just to learn the stitch, grab your supplies and let's get hooking. Follow along with the pattern if you're working the pattern, but for the sake of this tutorial and this gauge swatch, I'm going to get you to chain 26. So let's start off with that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Okay, so now we're going to work the setup round. So to begin working that, you're going to want to make a double crochet in the 4th stitch from your hook, or 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th stitch, so let's make a double crochet. To make a double crochet, you're going to yarn over. You're going to insert your hook into the chain. You're going to grab your loop and you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through 2. And then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the final 2. And that's your double crochet. Next, you're going to need to work one double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So we're going to work 3 double crochets into the next 3 chains. I'm sorry. So 1, we have 2, and we have 3. I forgot to mention that in this pattern, the chain 3 does count as a stitch. So just remember that when you're going back to count your stitches, that the chain 3 does count as a stitch. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're going to skip 2. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet. So after we skip these 2 chains, you're going to work a double crochet into that 3rd chain here. Okay, so we have our double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then you're going to skip 2 stitches. And then you're going to work 4 double crochet stitches. So that's the 2 chains here that I'm skipping are here. And you're going to work 4 double crochet stitches. 1. And again, to work a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and then pulling through 2. Okay, so you've worked your 4 double crochets. Now you're going to chain 2, and you're going to skip 2, and then you're going to work a double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2, you're going to skip 2, and then you're going to work 4 double crochet. Okay, so if you are working on the pattern, you will continue to repeat this process all the way across. You will repeat, if I had a bigger swatch, the next thing would be to chain 2, skip 2 chains, work a double crochet, chain 2, skip another 2 chains, and work 4 double crochets or 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So that is what you would repeat for the pattern. For the gauge swatch, just imagine that you have reached the end of row 1 on your garment, and you're going to end that row with working 1 double crochet in this final chain here. Okay, so if you can take a look, you can see that everything has evened out. The chain 3 space here counts as a stitch. So in total, you have 5, counting this chain 3 space here. And then you have ended with 5. So that's another way to track, just to make sure that you're on the right page when you end your row. Some patterns might differ, but for the most part, your beginning of the row is going to more than likely end the same as it began. So I'm going to show you how we do row 2 of the pattern repeat. Okay, so for row 2 of the pattern, we're going to chain 3. Remember, the chain 3 counts as a stitch. You're going to chain 3, you're going to turn your work. And what we're going to do now is you are going to work a double crochet into the second stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch here and we're going to work a double crochet here. Okay, and now we're going to continue working double crochet stitches in the next 3 double crochets. Next, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the chain 2 space, and then we are going to work a double crochet into this double crochet here. And now we're going to chain 2 again. We're going to skip this chain 2 space, and then we're going to work a double crochet stitch in the first double crochet that you see here after the chain 2 space. When working that double crochet, you're just going through the stitch, you're pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and then pulling through 2. Now we're going to work 2 more double crochets into these 2 double crochet stitches here. So 1 double crochet here, and then you're going to work another double crochet here. And from there, you're just going to repeat it across the row. If you're working on your piece, of course, you're going to have to repeat this a lot more times, but you're just going to chain 2, and then you're going to double crochet into the double crochet from the row below. And then you're going to chain 2 again. And then you're going to work your 4 double crochet stitches. Now, remember how I said that each row is going to ultimately end the way it started? We are including, excuse me, we are including the chain 3 as a stitch in this pattern, which means that I don't just have 4 stitches here, I have 5. So once you work your 4 double crochet stitches, you're going to have to work that last double crochet stitch right here in the turning chain space so that you can have those 5 stitches. You want to make sure that you don't forget this, otherwise your ends is going to kind of look a little wonky and it's going to throw off your stitch count, and we don't want that to happen throughout while working your pattern. This weight of yarn from Pallete, the fingering weight, it does come down if you have to frog it, but it's just a little tedious and it can rip easily. So you just want to make sure that you just kind of pay attention to that so you don't have to go back and frog. So you're going to work your double crochet stitches, the 4 double crochets. That's 1. This is 2. That's 3. This is 4. And now you're going to work that last double crochet stitch right here into the turning chain. And if you examine your work, you can kind of see the little windows that it starts to form. And it just looks really cute, and it's just, it looks so, I just love the openness of it. So you're going to repeat this all the way across. You're going to be working your 4 double crochets into the 4 double crochets. Then you're going to be chaining 2, working that double, and then you're going to be chaining 2, and then etc. So you're going to repeat that all the way across your piece. And remember to make your last double crochet stitch into the turning chain once you end that row. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to turn our work. I want you to examine your work. And what you're going to do is you're going to work a double crochet in between the 3rd and 4th stitch of double crochets from the row below. So you're going to yarn over, remember, 1, 2, 3. This is the 3rd stitch and this is the 4th stitch. We want to place our double crochet stitch right here in between. Okay. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the chain space from that we created from the row below. So ultimately, we're pretty much just offsetting the pattern at this point. So here we had this 2 rows of double crochets, and then we had our kind of window looking stitch here. So now we want to put this here and then our window stitch kind of here so that they can offset each other. So we're going to work our 2 double crochet stitches into this chain 2 space here. Now we're not going to chain or anything. We're just going to repeat exactly what we just did. We're going to work another set of 2 double crochets here in the chain 2 space. So you should have a total of 4 double crochets, no chaining in the middle, just working the 2 doubles here and the 2 doubles here. Now we're going to chain 2. Now we only have 4 stitches here, so we're going to work our double crochet stitch in between the 2nd and the 3rd stitch. The reason it was the 3rd and the 4th stitch at the beginning of the round was because we had 5 stitches that we had to account for. So for this part here, you're going to work it in between the 2nd and the 3rd double crochet. Ultimately, in between these 2, the post of each of these double crochets. So you're going to just go right there in the middle. So you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and you're going to work that double crochet stitch. Now you're going to chain 2. And here's the process of, this is what you're going to pretty much repeat all the way across. But I'm going to work with you all the way across to the end of mine because I did a smaller swatch. So I'll just work through it again with you. You can feel free to fast forward this part of the video if you already get this part. So we're going to work another 2 double crochets here. Remember, we're not going to be chaining in between the sets of 2. You're just going to just keep working. You don't start chaining again until you finish working your set of 2. So lastly, we're going to chain 2. We have 5 stitches here. So if we're counting backwards, we're going to go in between the second and third stitch here as well. So you're going to work your double crochet stitch here, and then you're going to chain 2. Now you're going to work your final double crochet stitch into this turning chain here. Now it's up to you how you would where and how you want to place your double crochet. You can work in the chain space if you would like, or you could actually work into the chain, the second chain. You can work that double crochet. So either way, it's a preference of choice, but either way, just make sure you get that final double crochet stitch in there. And this completes row 2. So we started off with the chain 5. That accounts for 1 double crochet and a chain 2. We worked our double in between the 2, in between the 3rd and the 4th stitch here. We worked our 4 doubles. We chained 2. We worked a double, chain 2, and you pretty much repeat that process all the way across. If you're working on the pattern, this is how the end of row 3 looks. Okay, so for row 4, we're going to chain 5. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to turn your work. Now we need to make the top half of the window that you see here. So you're going to chain 5 and you're going to work a double crochet. You're going to skip over the chain 2 space here, and you're going to work a double crochet into this double crochet stitch here. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to go right into that stitch, and you're going to work your double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2. And you're going to skip this chain 2 space here. You're going to skip this chain 2 space. Now you're going to want to work a double crochet into these 4 double crochet stitches that you see here. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and 4. And we're just going to repeat that process. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip these 2 chains, and we're going to work the top of the window. And then you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to work your 4 double crochets. Once you practice the repeat, it's really easy to remember. So you don't really have to stress about, getting the stitch pattern right. You can kind of get the flow of how each row works once you work up the stitch pattern. You'll be able to easily know what row and how to start each row, because you know that ultimately we're going to be offsetting the windows that you see here. So after a couple rows, it's a really easy repeat to remember, so no worries. Once you get to the end of your piece, You're going to work the same as you started. You're going to work a double crochet stitch here into the center, double crochet here, and then you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to work a double crochet into, I think, again, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either insert it into the space itself, or you can insert it into the 3rd chain of this turning chain. So again, ultimately it's a preference, whichever one you prefer. And this completes the end of row 4. Okay, so now we have reached the last row of our repeat pattern, and we're going to chain 3. So an easy way to remember, just to track so that you know that you're working the correct row, once your window stitch is complete, we're going to automatically start to work on the next offsetting, meaning you're going to want to start to bring back that the set of 4 double crochets like we started with. So if you're working your pattern and you kind of miss track, an easy way to know that you're off track is if you have more than 2 of these window spaces continuing. Like if you have another chain 2 double crochet, chain 2, you know that you're off track and you have to pull back your work. So that's another way you can just kind of keep track, and like I said, it's a very easy stitch pattern to memorize. So no worries with that either. So we're going to work a double crochet, 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space. Remember, when we're working our 2 double crochets into the chain 2 spaces, we're not chaining in between. So we're just going to work another set of double crochet stitches into the next chain 2 space. Now we're going to chain 2. And we're going to work a double crochet in between the 2nd and 3rd double crochet stitch of the 4 double crochets below. So in the pattern, I state 2nd and 3rd. That's why I wanted to show you what I mean, just in case you needed a visual to go with the words of how I explained it in the pattern. So you're going to work a double crochet stitch in between these 2. And you're going to chain 2. Now we've reached another part of the window, so we know that we need to work another set of double crochets. So we're going to work 2 doubles into this chain 2 space here. And we're going to work another 2 doubles into the next chain space here. And then you're going to repeat chain 2. Going to work that double in between the 2nd and 3rd stitch. And then you're going to chain 2. And you're going to end the row working your 2 doubles into the chain 2 spaces. Now pretend that you're ending on the garment. Pretend you're working on your garment. And on this final step here, excuse me, you're going to work a double crochet into this, the third double crochet of the chain 5 from the row below. It's easy to forget to work that final double crochet, but again, just always examine your work and just keep in mind that whatever you start with, you're going to want to end with. And this is it. This is the stitch pattern that I use for this design. Now you're going to want to repeat rows 2 through 5. You're going to repeat that over and over, how many ever times it states in the pattern for you to do that for whatever size you're working on. So we just completed round 5, and so we would start over with round 2. Well, actually, I'll work through round 2 with you just to kind of give you another, so we can do some, I'll do some another row with you just to make sure you got it. So we're going to start over our repeat pattern. So we're going to chain 3. It does count as a stitch, so we are going to skip this first stitch here, and then we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. And then you're going to work another one into the next. And then you're going to work another double crochet into the next stitch. And you're pretty much just following the pattern. You're going to make the top half of this window. So you're going to be chaining 2, working that double crochet stitch here into this double crochet stitch. And then you're going to be chaining 2. And then you're going to be working your 4 doubles. I really love how this lace stitch turned out with this design. I wasn't so sure about it when I first started working it, but as I got through the design itself, I just fell in love with the window appearance look that you create in this pattern. Remember not to forget that final double crochet stitch. Remember 5. You got to start with 5, you end with 5. And again, you can either work into the space. If you prefer to work right here into the second chain of this chain 3, that's fine also. And there you have it. That is the pattern repeat, and you'll just continue repeating it over and over, how many ever times it states in the pattern. If you're working on colors, you can change colors when it states, or if you're doing it all in one color, you just continue to repeat that. It's really not that difficult, and it creates an amazing lace stitch. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy our Spring Lace Victorian Pullover. If you have any questions or if you need pattern support, you can join our Facebook community. I will have a link in the description box to lead you there, or you can find me over on Instagram at justb.creations. And you can also follow along with the link in your PDF if you purchase the PDF. So if you have not purchased the PDF, one quick thing with this tutorial or this stitch pattern, our pullover will have a discount, and you can only use that discount if you are subscribed to my newsletter. So it's going to be issued out on a release day. So you're definitely going to want to sign up to our newsletter so you can follow, and you're going to want to tap that bell so that you can stay updated on my new videos and tutorials. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me here today. And until next time, never miss a stitch.